Lead types. You kind of illustrated list stacking. You're basically taking a data set and then you're layering another data set, which you mentioned you have like 19 different data sets that you could start stacking. And every time you do that, you're going to narrow down a list. Is there any particular type of leads? And I know you mentioned arms, but from a macro standpoint, are there any types of leads you're seeing investors having more success with right now?
Right now, I am seeing a lot of tired landlords as one of the hottest searches right now, looking for tired landlords that are out of state. Obviously, like you said, there's a hardship in just owning property locally. The further you are away from that property, you're unloading responsibilities to property management. You're having to rely on contractors out of state, and just being working on a fix and flip in state, some people have challenges with contractors there. So now you're dealing with a contractor out of state. So what I've seen is people just looking for tired landlords, but just some additional filters on top of that. Looking for tired landlords that are currently vacant right now with an open mortgage. Why? Because, hey, if no one's there, you're not cash flowing anymore. You're now losing money as you're trying to fill in that vacancy. So one of the hottest add-ons to a tired landlord is making sure it's vacant, also has a mortgage. Another tired landlord filter I'm seeing is tired landlords with multiple properties. We do have a numbers of property owned filter in our ownership info section. So we can look for a tired landlord that's, for example, out of state and has five or more properties. So that property is probably the property that they least want, because it's the furthest away from their portfolio. So they might be more willing to let that one go. But tired landlords has become one of the hottest searches in the last few months, based on the data that I'm seeing.
That's so interesting you say that because out of the 200 deals that we bought, tired landlords was always our best lead source. Always. Because
Yeah.
typically, at least in my experience, the tired landlord was a reluctant landlord, meaning they either couldn't sell their house or it just wasn't the right market to sell it. So they moved and then just rented it. And then they don't run it like a business. They just let it rent. I mean, tenants trash it out. And at some point, it just becomes such a massive headache, or they can't lease it because it needs so much remodeling and they don't have the money. The other
Yeah.
scenario is inherited. You inherit a rental, or you inherit a house that's vacant. You try renting it out, and it doesn't work out. So I love that. And this with my EXP team, every week we have coaching calls, and most of them are investors. Um, they're all licensed agents. Most are investors. Some of them are kind of 50-50. They do a lot of investments. They also do a lot of working with clients who are investors and also retail. And they were talking about, because this particular person was calling FISBOs. So calling FISBOs for listing leads, and he was having some success. He even got some wholesale deals out of it. But he brought up he just started calling for rent by owner, prospecting them for potential sales later on. Not to sell right now,
Mm.
but just building that relationship for when they might want to sell, which maybe now, could be a year from now, could be a few months from now. So I thought that was
That's genius. I like how he's
but
planting
because
the
it's
seed
vacant.
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He's planting the seed now, kind of saying, hey, everything is good right now. The grass is green on your side, but and people forget, a landlord has to go through a lot. They have to go through, drafting leases, right? They might be doing 1 year leases, so they have to go through tenants. The property could be destroyed while you have a tenant, right? So now you got to invest money to get that property back to current condition. And so again, people think it's all fine to own a property because it might be cash flowing, but there's a lot of responsibility in being a landlord. And I think people forget about that. And so to me, I think that's why tired landlords, in our system, it's 15 years, that's non-owner occupied, has become the hottest list. It's because you're dealing with people that have had to go through 15 years of tenants, 15 years of remodeling the property when it was initially remodeled from the get-go, right? So I believe that's one of many reasons why the tired landlord has become very popular in the last few months.
Yeah, and the approach really matters too. So if you're going after someone who's a pre-foreclosure and you actually get in contact with them, obviously this is a very short timeline. They got to make a decision. And if you're actually engaging with them, then emotionally they're probably pretty close to either making the decision if you can really help them out. A for rent by owner, for sale by owner, an actual landlord or whatever may not be as close to that. They could be, you never know. So, but if you go in, at least this was my experience. This is definitely what I coach, and what this particular investor agent that, the approach he's used that's been very, very successful is not approaching with any sales hat on at all. 100%
Mm.
relationship building. How can I help you? Hey, this is who I am. Notice you got this house. Been working with some folks in the area. How can I help you? Need some comps? Would you like to know, what your home's worth? You want to know what some other home, like it, if you ever were to get it sold, would you like to know what some of the other properties around you, some of the upgrades that they did to get the most value? What some of the buyers in this particular neighborhood, what they really have been looking for? What are some things they actually don't like? Like this neighborhood, they hate pools. You don't have a pool, so that's good, because people just don't like pools and things like that. And he's been able to get, because that data is fairly easy to get, um, and they're getting pounded with every realtor in the world trying to help them out. But he's able to get through the noise because he doesn't have a sales hat on. He has a, I'm just a local pro trying to help you out, or I'm just a local pro trying to see how I can help you out.
I love that. Going in as a problem solver, not as a salesman. And that's the key right
You're
there.
filling that pipeline. Just filling that pipeline. And if you do that for long enough, 6 months, 12 months, 2, 3 years, 5 years, guarantee. If anyone did that 5 years, especially if they're a real estate agent too, because they have the ability to take both sides. They can be the investor. They can also be the agent and help them out. Of course, there's proper disclosures you have to do, but do that for 5 years. Like, you very likely after that amount of effort, like diligent effort for that long, you probably won't have to market much at all anymore. Because at that point, the leads are, from the agent side, the leads and referrals will be pretty overwhelming and consistent to where, and then hopefully you're doing proper branding to where you've made a name for yourself. You'll just, leads will come to you.
Snowball effect, right? It just starts getting bigger and bigger. And before you know it, all your hard work turns into avalanche and you're just taking up the whole market. So that's pretty awesome. I love that he takes that approach. Very effective, and personally, I'm a consumer myself. I can smell the salesman, and that immediately is a turnoff for me. I like the people that approach as friends, and I love that your staff is doing that, Chris. That's really, really impressive.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, when it's the same script.
Yeah.
When it's the same script, it's just like, oh God. I mean, I'm a sales guy. Sometimes I humor them, but I'm just like, man, it's painful.